Hi, this is Mylochka, and I've been illustrating Star Trek fanfiction since 2005 with a 3D graphics program called Poser. Over the years, I've accumulated quite a collection of sets for the Starship Enterprise. Some of these are meticulous recreations of places that we saw on screen. Some are extrapolations of locations that were only glimpsed or suggested, and some are just places that I made up. I thought it would be interesting to share them with you in this video. As you can tell, the first thing that a good fanfic illustrator needs is a great bridge set. I've had many over the years. My favorite by far is this one by my friend Petro. In addition to being very detailed, it is modular. Each of the walls can be removed. It has a ceiling and also includes a turbo lift set. And now we're going to exit this most iconic Star Trek set and travel to a non-canonical location, the Turbo Lift Maintenance Alcove. I adapted this set for Poser from a design by a person named Agent P. This location is never seen or mentioned in the original series. It's a space where the turbolift cars can be taken offline and serviced. This is the kind of space that fascinates me, very lonely and perhaps very dramatic. Our next iconic space are the corridors. The corridors are much more complex and more detailed than you might expect. I have a number of corridor sets. No two are exactly the same. For a fanfic illustrator, the next most essential space you must have are personal living quarters for your characters. All sorts of interesting and dramatic things happen in people's living quarters. These were the very first sets that I tried to build. I won't bother to show you all of them. Most of them are pretty bad. Let me instead show you a nice version of Kirk's quarters that my friend Petro built, and I will share my version of Spock's quarters because it has some unusual features. A space never shown in the series but that I've been called upon to illustrate are the bathrooms. Franz Joseph did include these on his schematics of the ship, and I tried to stay close to his layout of where the shower and the toilets would go. Another space that shows up in Franz Joseph's blueprints but never showed up in the series was the captain's office. Like Picard's ready room, this is a space where Kirk could do business that wasn't the bridge or his bedroom. Very useful. I don't know why they didn't use it. Our next location is the galley. The galley is mentioned in a couple first season episodes like Charlie X and Corbomite Maneuver, but is not seen until the 6th movie, which wasn't any help to me in coming up with a design. In this same story, there was also call for a maintenance hatch above the galley. To eat all that food we've prepared, let's go to the rec room. The Enterprise actually had two distinct types of rec room. The first, used in the first 2 seasons, was actually a redress of the briefing room. The second, used only during part of the 3rd season, was much more elaborate, featuring not only replicators, but a mini arboretum as well. Since we're on the topic, let's go ahead and look at the briefing room. This is another great P-trope model. He diverges from what we saw on screen only by adding a large view screen, but this is such a practical idea, who could possibly object to that? Next, we're going to be traveling to sickbay. Sickbay is actually a very complicated set. It consists not only of the treatment room, and the ward room, but also McCoy's office, my favorite part of which is this little couch, and the med lab. Fanfiction being what it is, we had to add a few things like an isolation ward, but there are canonical additions to sickbay as well, like this cryostasis chamber. It is a recreation of preliminary Matt Jeffries sketches of the decontamination chamber that would be used in the episode Lights of Zetar, or this aquarium from the animated series. Let's move along to the science section and visit some of the labs. The first is the botany lab. You may remember the botany lab from Charlie X. Of the 4 labs I'm going to show you, only the botany lab actually appeared on screen during the original series. Next we have the chem lab. And the computer lab, which to modern students might sound like a place where the crew might go to do their homework. Our next location is the herbarium. Again, this set is based on Matt Jeffries' sketches. I think Kirk was supposed to take Miranda Jones here in Is There in Truth No Beauty? I call it an herbarium because he did, but I think it's an arboretum. For a complete change of pace, now let's go to the brig. Simplest set design on the whole ship, but plenty of drama when anyone winds up here. Shifting gears abruptly again, let's now head to the chapel, which I assume you can see is yet another clever redress of that basic briefing room set. Now let's head on down to the ship's gym. And while we're there, take a dip in the never-seen swimming pool. We're getting down into the guts of the ship now. Let's stop by life support. This is an exceedingly unattractive set, I know. The only thing I can say in my defense is the original is also exceedingly unattractive. Our next stop is the armory. Scotty visits the armory in Day of the Dove, but it's full of swords instead of phasers. My armory is stocked with hand phasers and phaser rifles by George Hayes, and a wonderful phaser cannon by Redfern. We now come to engineering. Again, this is a complex multi-part set. We're going to start with the engineering lab. Next we have the more familiar engine room itself. The next location is an upper gallery that we use for a wide variety of purposes in the series. This upper support unit is from the animated series. The transporter room is one of our last stops. I'm actually showing you two different models, one by Pietro, one by Tony Olivero. Here's the observation deck. And here's the hangar bay that it overlooks. Last but not least, here is a set that I have never used and I probably will never use. But I knew if I didn't show you one of these, you would probably never forgive me. So without further delay, here is the U.S.S Enterprise's bowling alley.